Hi! Welcome to the Conscious Eating Summit, where you're going to learn how to balance your hormones, regain vibrant health, and lose weight naturally, even if you're a busy mom. I'm your host, Dr. Nancy Kroll, and today I have with me my friend, Elissa A. I'm super excited to have Elissa here. She's a certified fermentationist and health coach. She's also the host of the Healthy Gut, Happy Child Summit. So I'm super excited to have her here because she has a very important viewpoint that I wanted to bring into this, and that is the role of the child in all of this. But before we get started, will you share with our viewers just a little bit about your why? Because your why is huge, and I think it's important for other women and mothers to hear.
Yeah, sure. And thank you so much for having me. This is really, it's really a pleasure, and I'm super excited to be part of your Conscious Eating Summit, Nancy. When I had my baby, I really didn't understand much about gut health. And it took us a couple of years to figure out that he was having a skin reaction to dairy. He was having massive bowel reactions, digestive problems with gluten. And just as we were figuring that out and getting settled, we found out that he had cancer. And he's doing great now. He is super healthy, robust, really happy child. But 10 months of chemotherapy really does a number on a little kid's gut. Mm-hmm. And so we had a lot of repairing to do. And just when we were finding out that he was sick, that's when I was starting to really understand a little bit more about gut health. And so then I just really devoted myself to everything I could learn about supporting his gut through chemo and beyond. And we ran the gamut of all kinds of stuff, of food sensitivities, of SIBO, of all kinds of stuff. And so now I'm really happy to share it with as many families and mamas as possible so that everyone's kids can heal their guts and live, really just live a higher quality of life, more joyful, more healthy. Everything really is better when your gut is healthy.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, because I've never asked you about this, even though, we've known each other and we're friends. So before you knew that your son had cancer, just out of curiosity, what were you guys like? Do you feel like it was diet related, or you had mentioned some food sensitivities, and I know that you've healed your gut and some symptoms that you had. So I was just kind of curious, like, were you asymptomatic, or were you kind of in that position where I feel like a lot of people are, where they might have symptoms, but they're very livable and they're not like, they're their norm or something. It's not like there's no red flags going on.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So like I said, I didn't really understand gut health, and I knew something was wrong. I knew that he must be uncomfortable from the way he was acting. He couldn't sleep unless he was on me or on someone. And he very clearly was having digestive problems from the time he was a little baby. And, looking back, we had, I had antibiotics while I was in labor. He had antibiotics the second he was born. Nobody gave us probiotics, all of these things, that are the classics. I had massive candida that I just didn't know about when he was born, all kinds of stuff. And as for things that were going on before we found out he had cancer, there was all of that. Clearly, his gut was not healthy. He was not able to digest his food very well. Even breast milk. If babies' gut bacteria is not colonizing in the sequence that normally it does, then which can get thrown off by antibiotics, by surgery, by all different kinds of things, then sometimes they have a hard time even digesting mother's milk. So you can really be chasing your tail for a while with that. Also, because he wasn't able to digest his food very well, he wasn't absorbing all of the nutrients. And we actually had a pretty good diet. We were eating loads of vegetables. I actually, when I first had the vision for developing a health coaching business, my goal was to help families with their babies so their babies would fall in love with vegetables, because there's research that demonstrates that the foods kids eat most before they turn 2 are kind of their most familiar foods. They're setting their palate. And so if they love eating bitter greens and vegetables, then, and if they're not exposed to a lot of sugar, then that's kind of the template that they'll fall back on for the rest of their life. And we know that so many diseases are related to diet, and even Alzheimer's, like decades later, Alzheimer's is really a diet-based disease. And so it just seemed like this great thing to be able to give to people. And so we were eating what I thought we were eating really well. And we had just started incorporating lots of fermented foods, but you know, he clearly was, in retrospect, mineral deficient. He was eating sand whenever he could. He would put sand and rocks in his mouth, which we didn't understand. But you know, like, our bodies are smart. Our babies, they have very little interrupting the urges of our bodies from getting to our brains and from them acting on it. And there was my little boy, like a year and a half old, like couldn't get enough of sand and rocks, and we didn't get it. And he was desperate for minerals. His body was desperate for the minerals. And sure enough, when his teeth came in, there were like little brown spots on his teeth. We ate almost no sugar, but he wasn't getting the right minerals to mineralize his teeth.
Yeah.
So all this stuff comes together, and, you know, there are a lot of different variables that play into cancer.
Yeah, it's never just one thing.
It's never just one thing. You know, we definitely had some contamination issues in our house that we weren't aware of. And we had a lot of stress in our household. So all of those things combined, that makes people vulnerable. And, you know, that's about all I can say about it. I can't really point a finger at any one thing in particular, but it really was a perfect storm.
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, you might be thinking, okay, you're talking about babies. I want to know about my hormones. And the reason why I really wanted Elissa on here is because I have so many clients or patients that as soon as I tell them, okay, it's time to take control of your health, it's time to change your diet, either they do it and then they're like catering to like 5 other people in their family and what they want to eat, right? Or they tell me they can't do it because, you know, they can't change their whole family's diet. And what I thought was really important for everyone to know is that it is crucial that if you're making these healthy choices, that you implement them for your child too. So, and you're all about the child, and you know so much about gut health. So I wanted to ask you, like, can you share with our audience, like, why is it crucial for both child and mother, and any person for that matter, to have a healthy gut?
Absolutely. Yeah. I encounter situations once in a while where, even just in my circle of friends, like the parents are doing the Whole30, but they're still feeding their kids bagels and cream cheese for breakfast. And it's like, oh, and it really hurts, because the things that make adults feel better are going to make your kids feel better too. And when you're thinking about gut health, these are the things that are really, really important. You want to make sure to be getting, first of all, you want to remove the triggers. Gluten is a classic trigger. So many people are affected by gluten. Dairy is a huge trigger. So many kids are suffering with constipation because of dairy. Super simple to just remove the dairy. It might take some work and some adapting, but you know, that's what we are here for. We can totally support you. Nancy, me, everybody that is in this field. There are many clinics where you can't even get an appointment unless you're willing to remove wheat, gluten and dairy and processed sugar from your diet. And there's good reason for that. So all of these things that you're doing to support your own gut health will definitely support your child's gut health. And what an incredible gift you can give to your child to shed those symptoms, those like drag you down, energy sucking, kind of symptoms, like when kids wake up and they don't want to wake up in the morning because they don't have any energy, or they're constantly having troubles with their digestion, all kinds of things, the constant like atopic kind of symptoms like rashes and eczema and constant
things that people again put into this normal kid thing, right?
It's not normal. It's not normal. It's common, but it is absolutely not normal. So our immune systems are 80% in our gut. And so if our gut is out of balance, if it's inflamed, if pathogenic kinds of microbes are getting the upper hand based on what we're feeding our guts, then your child just isn't going to be as robust as they could be. And it's totally possible to feed them and support them in a way that really releases their natural resilience and robustness just by supporting their gut.
So you had mentioned like your top, like taking out gluten and dairy and sugar. What are some other like easy tips for people to start right now if they want to start like healing their gut?
Sure. Well, if you've just taken out the triggers and you know you have a lot of healing to do, bone broth is a really wonderful healing food for everybody's guts. And beyond that, lots and lots of vegetables. Our gut health is really tied into what is living in our gut, and we've got trillions of microbes living in our gut, and they're there for a reason. Like we really are symbiotic creatures, and these microbes are helping to digest our food. They're helping us to absorb nutrients. They're helping the beneficial microbes in our gut. Their byproducts are actually nourishing and repairing our gut lining. They're supporting the mucosa that supports these creatures, protects our gut lining, and supports our immune system. The more vegetables we feed our gut bacteria, the better. Lots of dark leafy greens, lots of cruciferous vegetables, lots of every different color of vegetable. And so it's important to notice if your child is having trouble with vegetables, what's behind that? Is it that they just rather eat the crackers and cheese that they know you'll give them if they don't eat anything else? Are there sweet things that they're filling up on? So they're not hungry enough to eat the vegetables? Or is there something else in the way, like, are they kind of repulsed by the vegetables, by the flavors or the textures? Then there might be a nutrient deficiency going on. And by addressing that, which is usually pretty easy, then you can restore their natural appetite and start introducing these things. You can make vegetables fun. You can explore different ways of cooking them, usually just really simple presentation, and allowing the kids to be part of choosing the vegetables can really help. You also want to get lots of fermented vegetables. You don't have to have lots in quantity, but every meal, just a little bit. A little forkful of sauerkraut, maybe a little slice of dill pickle. And I know a lot of people think their kids will never eat fermented vegetables. But the truth is our bodies recognize the benefits of that sour flavor. They recognize that this is bringing in a lot of really beneficial organisms in our gut, super connected to our brains, tells our brain, oh yeah, that's good. So really quickly, just with a little taste of a fermented food, our bodies and our kids' bodies have a positive response. So this is the classic situation with my clients. I'll say, okay, just ask your kid to try it. And if they don't like it, invite them to spit it out right there at the dining room table. So that's kind of cool, you know, kids interested in the potential of spitting out something at the table, right? And in this way, the child actually gets that sour flavor in their mouth. They're getting a little bit of that great probiotic bacteria. They're getting practice with that flavor. They're turning on their gut and their brain that, hey, something good is coming. I want more of that. And so typically the kid will take a bite and make a face and spit it out and then say, oh, yeah, maybe I'll try that again a little later. I want some more of that. Or they'll ask for it the next day. So these are a few of the things that.
Yeah. And what do you say to those people that just say they don't like vegetables or they don't like sour things?
Right.
Or they're, I think you kind of mentioned, just now that they can try it and then spit it out. But what does that like? How does someone actually learn to enjoy these things?
Well, it takes practice and repeated exposures. It takes a little bit of just a commitment, and knowing that this is important for my health, and I want to be around for a long time, so I get to enjoy my kid for a long time, and I want my kid to be as healthy and happy as possible. So I'm going to make a commitment, and for this month, we're going to practice this. And so with older kids, once you've addressed whether there is something getting in the way of them being able to eat vegetables, like a nutrient deficiency, or there are other foods that are filling up their caloric intake for the day, or maybe they're not seeing you try these foods.
Yeah.
The modeling is super important. You can tell them anything, but they're going to do what you do all the way. So if you make it a family practice to have 3 different colors of vegetables on your plate every night at dinner, to always have a little forkful or even just a skinny little strand of sauerkraut or a little piece of dill pickle, if that just becomes your family practice, then your children will get repeated exposures. The more exposures, the more accepting they are. There are different studies that say it takes 7 exposures or 10 exposures or 100 exposures, lots of different ideas out there about how many exposures to a new food it takes before a child will accept it. So be persistent. Don't invest any energy, any emotional energy in it. It's just a practice.
Yeah.
You put out a little strand of whatever it is. Put maybe like with your vegetable peeler, peel a little bit of carrot and put it in your kid's lunch. Always put a sprig of parsley in your kid's lunch. Put a little sliver of a leaf of kale in their sandwich. And if they take it out every day, fine. But over time, those exposures will make them more accepting of the food. But again, it's really critical to get at the root of why they're not eating the vegetable. Is it just something that they've never done because you've never done it? Mm-hmm. Or is there something that really is getting in the way? Because when a kid's body is in balance, they have an appetite for the things that nourish them, that truly support their growth and development and the strength of their immune system.
Right. So when the parent has decided to really focus on their health and heal their gut, what have you noticed with your clients? Like, what are the benefits that some of these children are getting whenever they're actually eating healthier as well? Have you noticed, I don't know, maybe a yes. You can think of like behavioral problems, or what are you thinking?
Yes, definitely. We've had clients. I have had. I'll describe one family in particular where all at once sleeping improved, constipation was relieved, and just their appetite for a broader array of foods, and including more vegetables and fermented foods, which she never ever expected. All of this turned on. All of this, like, it's like they just like woke up, except for the sleep, slept longer.
I was going to say, I can even imagine that this decreases stress within a family unit, because there's so many parents out there that the feeding aspect of parenting is a huge battle. So as soon as that shifts, I can imagine there's a decrease of stress just in the whole family unit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you're able to just make one dinner for everybody, not only is your stress relieved, because it's a lot less work and it's a lot less annoying.
Yeah. A lot less resentment, right?
Exactly. That's really how it feels. When I know that when my energy is more positive and relaxed, my little boy's energy is more positive and relaxed. And so this ties into the fourth premise that I really work with people on, which is becoming practiced at shifting into our parasympathetic mode. That's our rest and digest mode. And the more fluent we are in moving back into this mode. And naturally, as people, we're supposed to be in this rest and digest mode pretty much all the time, unless there's something that really is trying to eat us. And then it's useful to get into our fight or flight sympathetic mode. But we're kind of stuck in this fight or flight mode so much of the time that our stress is elevated almost constantly. And so it does take practice to learn how to relax, to get back into rest and digest. We're not going to get rid of all of the stress triggers in our lives. That's just impossible at this point. But we can become really practiced at moving back into rest and digest, which does exactly that. It supports us in digesting our food. If we're stressed, we can lose up to 60% of the blood flow to our digestive system. Yeah. So this is another great way we can support our kids by being able to be more calm and positive ourselves. We'll be supporting our kids' digestion.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, I have to mention about sugar. Over and over again, I experience families where their children's temper issues totally mellow out when they pull out the processed sugars. Kids have a really hard time with that blood sugar spike and then crash. When our bodies feel kind of the tide of blood sugar turning from increasing to decreasing, that turn triggers, it's almost like a panic almost in our bodies, where it's like, oh my gosh, I need more sugar. What's going on? Yeah. Famine is approaching, and we're just naturally programmed for that. And so if we support our kids with a more fiber-based, healthy fats-based kind of healthy eating routine, then they'll just be even keeled most of the time. I mean, things upset kids, things upset us, but we can really support ourselves in them by just feeding them really great whole foods and skipping the processed sugar.
Yeah, I know for at least myself, I don't like my child as much when he's on sugar.
I'm on their birthday party.
You give them the sugar and you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oops. Sometimes there are occasions that just to support us all being part of our culture. Yeah. We bring the gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-filled cupcakes to birthday parties to make sure that he has a super awesome treat too. And, but yeah, those are actually treats.
Exactly. They're not every day. Yeah. So you have a really cool gift for our viewers. Can you share with us what it is?
Yeah, sure. So I've included for all of you, and I hope you actually read it and use it because it's so fun, probiotic ninja moves to help your child fall in love with probiotic vegetables, with those fermented vegetables we were talking about. So it's a list of very specific strategies you can use to incorporate these great beneficial bacteria into your child's diet, whether they know it or not. And it really works. So definitely share with Nancy and I how it goes when you try it out. Yeah, it's just super fun for us to hear about that.
Cool. And so everyone knows the link for that free gift is in the email that you open this interview in. So you can just go back to that email, click the link, and it'll take you directly there. And I have one more question for you, Elissa. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Let's see. I would... Advice. Oh, that's such a great question. I guess it would probably be around diet, about, turning down the sugar and getting some help in identifying the source of my depression and allergies and all that stuff, and just see where that would go. That isn't who I am.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I mean, when I think back on my younger years, I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have known those symptoms meant this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think there's like such a disconnect of knowing the connection between so many different things. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
Great question. I love that.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all of your wisdom with us on how we can get our kids healthier and keep ourselves healthy as a result. Because I know a lot of parents are in the corner eating their kids like, you know, whatever, goldfish and bad snacks and all that kind of thing. So the healthier, I think both parent and child can be, the healthier the family unit is as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's really been a pleasure to be part of this, Nancy. Thanks so much. And I could talk to you forever about this stuff and ask you questions. We'll have to do that soon.
Yeah, we'll have to talk another time. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the next episode. I'll see you later.